ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त श्रीराधाकान्त नमोस्तुते। तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गे श्रीराधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन् इति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे।
Hare Krishna. So yesterday we were discussing about Raganuga Bhakti. Any reflections? Let us quickly recap what we discussed yesterday. What are some of the points? So let us begin with what is Raganuga Bhakti? Any point that you remember from yesterday class, you can share that about Raganuga Bhakti. What is Raganuga Bhakti? How is it different from Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti? Yes, Manleshwar Prabhu, and then Divya Leela Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, it is Raganuga Bhakti is internal Bhakti. It's not external. It is spontaneous Bhakti without any affectional. And you said that.
Now, what do we mean by it is internal Bhakti?
Means it is emotional.
Okay, so emotions are always internal.
But
okay, the inspiration to follow, that is internal.
okay.
And Vaidhi, the inspiration comes from an external source, Guru Sadhu śāstrī. In Raganuga, it is spontaneous. And the source of inspiration is internal. Bhakti is always, one of the characteristics of Bhakti is Anushilana. Anushilana means it is a practical activity. Activity means it has to be done through mind, through senses, through speech. Okay, yes, please go on, continue.
Prabhu, one doubt was there. Vaidhi Bhakti, you can reach to Vishnu only, Vaikuntha, and Raganuga Bhakti, if he's doing for Krishna only. Is it true, Prabhu, like that?
So we'll just quickly wait. We'll discuss it today. Other details about that when we'll discuss the Bhava Bhakti. So through sadhana also we can reach Krishna. Vaidhi sadhana also we can reach Krishna. Krishna in Dwarka, Krishna in Mathura. Right. But if we want to go and serve in Golok Vrindavan, Krishna in Vrindavan, that is possible through Raganuga, not through Vaidhi sadhana. Yes, Divya Leela Mataji.
Prabhuji Pranam. Till chapter 2 to 14, we discussed about Vedi Sadhana Bhakti. And from chapter 15, we are discussing about Raganuga Bhakti. And in order to understand Raganuga, first we need to understand Ragatmika. And Ragatmika is a devotional practice that cultivates the Krishna's associates in Vrindavan. And we need to understand what type of mood and what type of attachment this Vrajavasis are having towards Krishna. And you quoted from different shlokas in Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela, 150, 152 and 154, which describes Raganuka, Ragatmika, and what type. And you also told us the meaning of Raga, that is one who is intense attached and for Krishna, and Atma means the essence. So one who is in deep attachment to Krishna is called Ragatmika. Prabhuji, yesterday I was not present, I'm sorry. Raganuga means, sorry, Ragatmika is spontaneous love for Krishna. To cultivate that is Raganuga. Is it right understanding, Prabhuji? Difference between...
Yeah. So Ragatmika is the perfected stage that is found in the residents of Vrindavan. That is Ragatmika. Raganuga means that kind of practice through which we tend to cultivate the mood and service of a Ragatmika Bhakta. Okay, yes. Other points that we discussed yesterday? Yes, please continue.
We discussed that there are two kinds of Ragatmika. There are two types of Ragatmika Bhakti. One is Kamabandha and one is like Sambandha. Kamabandha was for the devotees in Madhurya Rasa, that is, example is gopis. And Sambandha was, the example of Sambandha was Vrishnis and Pandavas. And then we discussed also that in all rasas, Krishna can be worshipped at Gopya, Kamad, Bharat, and so on. And gopis worship Krishna out of like love or lust and everything. And then qualification for Raganuga Bhakti we read, that is at least Anartha Nivritti. At least Anartha Nivritti is the qualification for Raganuga Bhakti. And Raganuga Bhakti means basically following Ragatmika Bhaktas. It is externally through the processes of sadhana, like following all the processes which are given in the sadhana, and internally cultivating the mood. And you gave the example like Raganuga Bhaktas. Externally, they do the things like Rupa Goswami's example you gave, that externally they will do activities like Srila Rupa Goswami in Gaur Leela, and internally like Shri Rupa Manjari. Raganuga Bhaktas also in their perfected stage have their form in both Krishna and God.
Okay, thank you. So, yes, we discussed that there are two kinds of Ragatmika Bhakti, and thus there are two kinds of Raganuga Bhakti. So, two kinds of Ragatmika Bhakti is Kam Rupa and Sambandh, Kam Rupa and Sambandh Rupa. So, these are two kinds of Ragatmika Bhaktis. And similarly, there are two kinds of Raganuga Bhakti, the Kamanuga and Sambandhanuga. And then we discussed, when we are talking about Ragatmika Bhakta or the perfected living entities in Golok Vrindavan, so they have two swarups, one in Gaur Leela and one in Krishna Leela. So a Raganuga Bhakta will follow in footstep of both swarup. Externally, in their swarup as sadhana de, that they manifest in Gaur Leela, and internally as their siddh de, which they manifest in Krishna Leela. And then Srila Rupa Goswami gives proof from Srimad Bhagavatam, the verse that Kanchan Mataji just quoted, Gopyaha Kamat Bhayat Kansodvesha Chadyadyon Ripaha, in which Narad Muni is telling the different ways in which one can absorb one mind unto Krishna. And then we discussed out of these, only two are favorable, and one of them corresponds to Sambandhanuga, and Sambandha Rupa, and second refers to Kama Rupa. Others are either not Bhakti or either they are not Raganuga Bhakti. So yes, so let us. Any questions from yesterday's discussion about Raganuga? We also discussed about the eligibility for Kamanuga, and yes, one more important. The yes, minimum qualification is Anarth Nivritti. Yes, but the main qualification is one needs to have, that is Lobha, which usually not manifest until the stage of Anarth Nivritti. But the qualification has to be the intense greed, that spontaneous greed to serve Krishna in a particular mood. So, Kamanuga refers to the conjugal love, and then we discussed there are two categories of Kamanuga also. So, one is Sambhog Ichamai, that when one wants to serve Krishna directly, or Tat Tat Bhav Ichatmika, that in one category one wants just like a heroine, in the other category one wants to be the servant of that heroine. The mood of heroine's mate. So the mood is not to meet Krishna directly, but to assist the supreme heroine, Srimati Radharani, and to directly experience her mood, her loving mood through service and appreciation. And we also discussed that therefore conjugal love, there are two kinds of conjugal love. One is Parakiya and one is Swakiya. For Swakiya, one follows in the footsteps of Krishna's wedded wife. That means queens in Dwarka. For Parakiya, one who follows in the footsteps of the gopis in Vrindavan. And in different sampradaya, this is known by different names. Just like in Vallabh sampradaya, this is known as by Pushti Marg, to indicate Raganuga sadhana. Here we call it by Raganuga sadhana. And just like Kama Nuga has two categories, similarly Sambandha Nuga has two categories. The first category, a person aspires for direct parenthood or the friendship with Krishna. And in the second category, one aspires to be the servant of a father or friend of Krishna. So Srila Rupa Goswami gives a warning also here, specifically for those who are aspiring for a direct relationship with Krishna, and specifically in relation to parenthood. So Srila Rupa Goswami states that when one desires to become Krishna's father, there may be chances that one may develop a desire to become Nand Maharaj himself. And that, he says, is no less than a Mayavadi conception, in which one wants to become Krishna by merging in Krishna. So similarly, just like one cannot become Krishna, one cannot become Nand Maharaj or Yashoda Mata. It is not a post. They are the name of the devotees. Just like we say Indra. Indra is a post. Okay, anyone can occupy that post. But no one can become Nand Maharaj or Yashoda. So if one has that desire to become Nand Maharaj, it's just like a Mayavadi conception in which one wants to become Krishna. So there's a danger there, and it's a sign of warning. So yes, Vrindavan was true.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, one point which really made me understand that in mood of Vedi, there is awe and reverence. And when it comes to Raganuga, there is no awe and reverence. So that's a very differentiating criteria. And
Love is so intimate that it has surpassed that awe and reverence stage. Then awe and reverence are like an obstacle to their natural, spontaneous, loving sentiment.
yes, Prabhuji. And Prabhuji, you were mentioning something, so it struck me. But when I was reading, then I came across this thing. So you told me, you told us, like in some chapters, it is where it should be Ragatmika, it should be written Raguna. So I have this 2023 edition only, where it says, Sri Rupa Goswami has defined Raganuga Bhakti as spontaneous attraction for something while completely absorbed in thoughts of it, with an entire desire of love. Devotional service executed with such feelings of spontaneous love is called Raganuga Bhakti. Now you told us that this is actually Ragatmika. So you told something that there is a mistaken.
Wait. Read the definition of Ragatmika also.
Let me come to it.
The first chapter on Raganuga defines Ragat.
Prabhuji, it is written, examples of spontaneous devotional service can be easily seen in Krishna's Dharasur in Vrindavan. The spontaneous dealings of residents of Vrindavan in relationship with Krishna are called Raganuga, which you told us this is Ragatmika. And you were also mentioning something that there is sometimes I think in other editions, some wrong things are written, or it maybe have been wrongly written. So I could not understand that point, but I could recollect you said yesterday. In some editions,
in the earlier version, the definition of Ragatmika was said to be Raganuga. The definition of Raganuga was said to be Ragatmika in some edition.
So probably mine is 2023 edition.
So I read out the definition of Ragatmika.
Let me come out.
Okay. Meanwhile, you'll find in the first chapter on Raganuga, the second paragraph. That is the reason I asked all of you to note down those verse number from Chaitanya Charitamrita. If there's any confusion, you can cross-check those definitions from Chaitanya Charitamrita verses that Prabhupada wrote. So, just a second. I'll let you know the page number so you can check. Check on page 119 or maybe around that. But you can always, note down this verse, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela, 22nd chapter, 154 verse, 150, 152. So 22.152, that defines Ragatmika, and 154 describes Raganuga. So the definition that you read just now,
yes,
that was the definition of Raganuga only. So I think that's the correct definition.
Prabhuji, it is said the spontaneous dealings of the residents of Vrindavan in relationship with Krishna are called Raganuga.
No, that is Ragatmika.
Yes. So, okay. So, Prabhuji, I have this 2023 edition. So, which will be the right edition? Which?
The spontaneous feelings that residents of Vrindavan have in relation with Krishna, that is Ragatmika.
Ragatmika.
Yes. If it has been written otherwise, you can make a change.
Okay.
And you can also personally, check the verse Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela, 22nd chapter, 152. So 150, 152, 154. So these verses you can check and accordingly check in Nectar of Devotion.
Right, Prabhuji.
Yes, there were a couple of other hands.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, one question was it is in that Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in this, it was mentioned that sloka that Raganuga Sadhak Kramash Anartha Nivruti Nishta Ruchi Asakti Bhava Tata Ananta Prema Star Parposte, means if Raganuga's process starts from Anartha Nivruti, Prabhu is saying like that.
No, wait. It doesn't mean the process starts at Anartha Nivritti. The process starts at the very first stage only. Yet the practice of Raganuga sadhana can be that it fully manifests at least at that level of Anartha Nivritti. That spontaneous attraction. See, from the very beginning of devotional life, there can be some spontaneous feeling, but they are not that mature. They are not that intense. So it is not, when we say about these stages, one need to understand this is not like the a digital, 1, 2, 3, 4, then 9. These stages indicates the maturity of our faith. The faith becomes more and more condensed, right? So you will be executing bhajan kriya. So that leads to Anartha Nivritti. It doesn't mean that bhajan kriya stage stops at that time. And now we are only at Anartha Nivritti. So bhajan kriya continues even at Anartha Nivritti. And then it matures even further and further. The sadhu sangha stage continues. Are you getting?
Yes, Prabhu.
So, but generally it is said that intense lobha or the greed usually doesn't manifest until one has so many anarthas.
One more thought, Prabhu. But Raganuga means it's affection with some have parental affection, some has as such a Madhuri Lila, and these all different of relations we want to keep with Krishna. According to that, the mood also changes, Prabhu. Means if I'm in parental, if I'm in dasya, or if I'm in other mood of the mood also changes, the feelings also changes, and the prayer mood also changes, Prabhu.
Don't worry. I mean, when the time is right, Krishna will manifest in your heart. The relationship that he has with Krishna.
But we should pray in that mood, or we should pray in. See, exactly. I pray like as a dust particle of Krishna's lotus feet. I pray like that. Maybe others have as a mother feeling to Krishna in that mood she is praying, or some may have some other relation, Sakha Rusha or something. What mode we should pray, Prabhu? While doing chanting also we'll
The
do
mode, it starts from a dasya mode. Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim, kavitam, va jagadish kamaya, mam janmani janmani ishware, bhavatat bhaktir ahetuki. So the mood of servant, of the servant, of the servant, of the servant, of the... When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was asked, Naham vipro nacha narpati, na api vaishya shudra, naham varni nacha grihapati, no vanastu yatirva. Kintu prodya nikhala paramananda purnamritabdir, gopi bhartu padakamalayur, dasa dasa nudasaha. It begins with that dasa dasa nudasaha. The servant of the servant of the servant of the gopis. That's what Lord Chaitanya said. So all the rasas that you will see, it is a fuller and fuller expression of that dasya bhav. You know, a person in a devotee in Madhurya, they serve as dasya, they serve as sakhya, and they serve as vatsalya, and they serve as Madhurya also. They have, I mean, that scope is of dasya increases more and more. So we begin with this particular prayer. Yeah, and that's what you'll find in all the prayers of Srimad Bhagavatam. Vritasura is praying, Aham haraita padaika mula dasa nudaso bhavitasmi bhuyaha. Dhruva Maharaj is praying, Bhakti muhu pravatam tvai me prasango. So all prayers you will see, this is one common element. They're asking for the service of Krishna and for his devotees. So begin with the dasya. And whatever your eternal, yeah?
Basis dasya only. From dasya only we should go.
Yes, this is dasya.
Prabhuji, is it like this that we already have a particular mood or a particular relationship which will duly manifest at a stage of a particular, when the stage we're in, or we cultivate it? Normally we have heard the relation is eternal and it manifests. Like somebody says, oh, I want to do like service like this or this. So will this, like you already have a relation and that will manifest at a particular stage of bhakti?
So Prabhuji, I have no answer, no certainty for this answer. I have heard both versions. Mostly I've heard the version that we have our eternal rasa with Krishna. And then I've also heard that there are two kinds of processes you'll see, you know. In one process for a particular sampradaya, for a particular sadhana, they try to cultivate a very particular mode and rasa. Another sampradaya rasa, but what, you know, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said that it is Krishna who reveals your eternal self, and you are situated in that particular relationship. So one is that you are striving and endeavoring for a particular sadhana. In the other, it's Krishna and Guru who are revealing within your heart. So usually I've heard both versions. I can't say which one. I don't have clarity over that answer right now. But mostly I've heard that the relation rasa is fixed. And our eternal relation with Krishna is there. It manifests over time. Krishna reveals that within our heart.
And as you said, there are either there is like direct association. Kamanuga, we have two things, either tat ichamai and direct association.
Yeah.
So probably like we are following as footsteps of Rupa Goswami, Srila Prabhupada, and coming forward. So probably we always think of getting Radha and Krishna meeting together. Now we never think of enjoying Krishna. Our goal is at always getting Radha and Krishna together. So we are trying to cultivate this mood, tat bhav bhavita. Not exactly Kamanuga, you may be in other rasas also, but we are not trying to directly become that. So in our sampradaya also, somebody can be eventually having those feelings, no, I want to direct associates, or in our sampradaya, which we are following, which we will be having like always assisting them to get together or assisting a servant?
So it's not about we, it's always about I. Because every soul is individual. And you'll find in the movement of Lord Chaitanya, there are Ram Bhaktas also. There are devotees, Murari Gop, And the definitions and the process that you'll see that Srila Rupa Goswami has established there are very inclusive of everyone. It's not that only this particular devotee with this particular mood is allowed and no one else is allowed. And also any devotee, I mean, even a bhakta of, how to say, sometimes people think they have very strange conceptions. They say that Haridas Thakur is incarnation of Brahmaji, and how can he give someone Krishna Prem and an eternal place in Golok Vrindavan? People have conceptions like that. So it's not true. It's not about who they are as a personal in their personal rasa, but they can bless the soul with the highest. So even a person who is a perfected devotee, they can bless the person, that soul, with their fullest expression of their relationship with Krishna. And it is also not like that if my guru is in Sakhya Ras, so the disciple has to be in the Sakhya Ras only. He cannot be in any other rasa. That's all. We see from the life of Shamanand Prabhu, right? Gauridas Pandit, and that entire Leela is there. So, yeah. So it depends, Prabhu. From sadhaka to sadhaka, what is their rasa with Krishna, and how do they want to cultivate it? But yes, usually one who is a follower of Srila Rupa Goswami, Sri Rup Manjari, and Sri Narottam Das Thakur is writing that bhajan, Sri Rupa Manjari Pada, Sai Mora Sampada. So in that bhajan is expressing the similar desires. Our acharyas has expressed the similar desires to be the servant and the servant of the servant of, just like those who are in Manjari Swarup, yes, that is their service, as you mentioned, to be anugat of Srimati Radharani and to participate in their pastimes.
I think, Roji, sometimes these topics are above our head, so I really feel wait for the right time, they will get revealed. I think that's much better rather than thinking too much about this, because I feel it's difficult to understand. I mean,
so they may be difficult to understand. At the same time, we should not be afraid of these subject matters, number one. And we should not be too prematurely try to show to the world that we want this and we want that and this and that. So Srila Rupa Goswami has mentioned all these topics and this science and nectar of devotion. Srila Prabhupada has presented that to us in Chaitanya Charitamrita. They're there in the Bhagavatam. They're there in these books, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So we try to study and we try to understand. That's all. And what for practical, Srila Prabhupada has clearly written. We begin with that very sadhana bhakti, follow those principles nicely and make advancement in that way. Follow the, the sadhana and the states of Lord Chaitanya that they have given us. Internally, we, even in the introduction to Bhagavad Gita, Srila Prabhupada is writing, is giving an example of a wife who has a paramour, right? Remember? No, yes, no. And the Lord Chaitanya wrote that letter to Raghunath Das Goswami. So even in the introduction to Bhagavad Gita, it has been mentioned, externally we do all the sadhanas very strictly as a Vaidhi sadhana, and internally we strive for the service of Radha and Krishna. We cultivate that mood. When will that day be mine? When I'll be able to serve them in that mood of separation. Not that yesterday night I saw Radha Krishna in my dream, and now I'm declaring it to the whole world, marketing myself for some cheap admiration. To understand what was the mood of Goswamis, so I do that. So it's not something to be afraid of. It is something to aspire for. Till the time we know what we are seeking, what is our goal in life, what is the perfection that exists, at least theoretically. So we read Krishna book, we read all those pastimes of Krishna, and naturally a desire evokes, I'm meant to be with Krishna. So when there is a clarity of prayojan, there is a clarity of abhidaya, and there is a clarity of sambandh. So either extreme is, I think, unhealthy. One is, okay, I don't want to know anything about these subject matters. They do not matter in my life. Only thing is, let me just chant 16 rounds for regular difference, 16 rounds for regular. But I don't know what I'm doing, what am I aspiring, and why am I doing, what is the process. I have no knowledge of that. Things may tend to become mechanical. And one thing is completely, I'm only discussing about that, and I'm not doing any sadhana. All I'm doing, all I love is I want to talk big things, and I want to talk about this and that. But my own sadhana, when I do, what am I doing practically with my life? That's clueless. And one is that extreme. The healthy balance is I have clarity of where am I going, what am I aspiring, and I execute a sadhana for myself. I don't prematurely want to jump onto the subject matter. At the same time, our acharyas gave this. I am fully grounded in Siddhanta that is there of our Gaudiya Vaishnava Parampara. At least from the viewpoint of Siddhanta, I should be clear. Otherwise, someone will come, will say just one line, 2 and 3. Or there is only ABC in ISKCON. There is no XYZ. If you begin, you begin in ISKCON when you are advanced enough, then come to us. We will teach you the advanced of Bhakti. And we may wonder, perhaps, yes, this is ABC only. This is not ABC, this is ABC and XYZ and everything beyond that. Everything is there.
One more anartha we face, like sometimes we see our spiritual masters worshipping Krishna Balaram, and so we tend to assume like what sometimes devotees say, oh, he's in like Sakhiras. And so that is none of our business. That is his internal. We have to follow him. So how to cut these kind of
those inquisitiveness can be very naturally. It can come very naturally. What is my sarup? What is the sarup of my guru? And what was the sarup of Srila Prabhupada? And this and that. So those can come. It's very natural. That's okay. At the same time, it is not that all queries will be answered immediately. We need a certain adhikar to know certain things. For example, I may be connected to someone with as a friend, and that friend is married. So if I want to know about what is the relation between that friend and his wife, you'll say that's none of your business, right? Until unless it depends upon
relationship.
How kind of relationship I have, right? So if I'm eligible to know, if I have that adhikar, that kind of relationship exists, only then I can get access to those realms, right? So similarly, so that jigyasa is not bad. I mean, that's natural. But in order to know that, we have to be qualified. That's one perspective. Other perspective is even if we know, Let us say you know the Swarup of Prabhupada, you know the Swarup of Guru. What will you do with that knowledge? If someone even comes and tells you that you are like a Manjari in this Krishna Leela, it tells you, what will we do with that information? What practical transformation will that information make in my life? Will it improve my sadhana? Will I give up everything and will I go to the forest, and or will it help me taking complete shelter to Krishna? How will that information help? Apart from I may become sahajya, I may take things very cheaply, and I may become complacent, I may become diverted. So uh, uh, we are given some knowledge, but to contain that knowledge, we need to have a certain container. Our heart has to be at the right place. We need to be, our character has to grow to that point in which we can hold that realized knowledge. To the degree we become qualified, to that degree we receive this knowledge from Krishna of the higher and higher realms. So then, therefore, my focus should be on how can I become more qualified? What is the process? To serve Vaishnavas through their blessings. Gopi Bhartu Pad Kamlo Dasa Dasaram. Selfless, causeless service out of devotion and love. To Guru, to Vaishnavas, Krishna. That is a process of Bhakti Yoga. It is dependent upon the mercy. It is a descending process. Yes, Anandita Mataji, and then we'll continue with Bhav Bhakti.
Hi, Pranam Prabhuji. And just a small question. Day before yesterday's class, you mentioned that Varnashram Dharam is specifically not mentioned. Is not at all mentioned. Not specifically, it's not at all mentioned by Rupa
No, it is
Goswami.
mentioned. See, Srila Rupa Goswami mentioned 64 limbs of devotional service, and then he analyzes the relationship of other processes with limbs of devotional service. So then he discusses about Varnashram, he discusses about Gyan, he discusses about Vairagya, he discusses about the other Yam, the different constraints, just like Brahmacharya, Tapa, Ahimsa, and so on. So he discusses the relationship of other practices with the limbs. And then he concludes that none of these are directly responsible for evoking the bhava in the heart. So they are not the part of sadhana bhakti. Yes, now continue.
Okay. So the Varnashram, Devi Varnashram, for which we ISKCON we quite hear about this. So the Devi, the normal Varnashram is a different thing, but the Devi Varnashram includes is Devi Varnashram relates to the 64 limbs, or is it different? That's what I just want.
And give a specific example. What do we understand by Devi Varnashram? Give any specific practice, because Varna and Ashram duties in themselves they perform a certain purpose, no doubt. But they are not directly responsible for evoking our for Krishna Prem. When you take initiation, Srila Prabhupada did not say, okay, now the relation, my initiation was to do this and to do that. Not related to Varnashram, it's related to sadhana bhakti. But Varnashram definitely has our entire society has to be organized in some ways. Okay, any society has to be organized. So Varnashram is the ideal organization of the society for a specific purpose, to elevate consciousness, to regulate senses, beyond a place where Varnashram system is in the place, and a society where Varnashram system is not in the place. So it will be very easy to execute the process of sadhana bhakti in that place. No doubt. At the same time, sadhana bhakti it is not that there has to be a prerequisite of varnashram. Otherwise, anyone sadhana bhakti won't work. It's not like that. Or if someone is not in varnashram, then they cannot take up the process of sadhana bhakti. So varnashram is very important, no doubt. It's a natural system made by Krishna. We are not discussing about the importance and significance of. We are only discussing varnashram is not a part of sadhana bhakti. We are not denying its importance, no doubt. But if you are talking about will the varna and ashram duties help you to evoke your attraction to Krishna? No. They in themselves will not do that. One can be a perfect brahmachari. Still, they may not manifest any symptom of love for Krishna.
Yes, to completely agree with you. I just wanted to ask that the normal varnashram for which is written in the Shastras, and Srimad Bhagavatam also says that one who follows the varnashram dharma, but he or she does not even invoke Krishna consciousness in then shram eva hi kevalam. So what I wanted to ask that the Devi Varnashram and the normal Varnashram in which the four orders and all these things has to be, the society has to be there. The Krishna is a center in all Varnash and Ashram. So Devi Varnashram is going to help, right? Or is a part of sadhana bhakti? That's what I just wanted to ask.
The limbs of sadhana bhakti are very clearly listed. 64 limbs are there. Right? If you're following those limbs, then you'll invoke attraction to Krishna. If you're doing you are doing your ashram and varna duties in such a way that they are helping you apply these 64 principles, that's perfect. You do it for Krishna, you don't do it for Krishna, it's a separate thing. Sadhana bhakti limbs are very crystal clearly defined. You need to do that. So, those are the part of sadhana. You may be doing your work, as a grihastha, as a brahmachari, as a sannyasi, or as a brahman, as a vaishya, as a shudra, very wonderfully, and you may be giving them to Krishna. Okay. But that is still not your sadhana. It's not a process of sadhana. That may be, you may be on the level of karma yoga, giving your result of the work to Krishna. But what is the sadhana? That's what the sadhana, these limbs are there. Do you chant your rounds? Do you worship the deities? Do you study Bhagavatam? Do you go to place of pilgrimage? Do you, participate in Sankirtan? All the details are mentioned. This is sadhana. So it is not that, okay, you go to office, you earn money and you offer that to Krishna. That can still be a Devi Varnashram. But those in themselves is not sadhana bhakti. That's what I'm saying. But that will definitely help. That will prepare a very wonderful ground on which it would be much easier to practice these limbs of bhakti. Undoubtedly. But if you don't do this, then those in themselves will not constitute a sadhana. Is it clear?
Yes, thank you.
Prabhuji, sorry to obstruct you. One more thing, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, normally when we hear the yoga ladder, so we say, okay, a person does Karma Kand, then he goes to Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. But here we have clearly understood from our classes that only Bhakti can give rise to Bhakti. So, but then we say Karam Yoga, so then you can go to Gyan Yoga, and then you go to Bhakti Yoga, or you may be at any level, you go directly.
Every process to bear fruit has to has an element of bhakti. Karma yoga in itself cannot give result if there's the element of bhakti is not there. The Gyan yoga cannot give result till the time the element of bhakti is there. The Dhyan yoga cannot give result until and unless the element of bhakti is there. The process may be of Karma yoga, but there has to be some touch of Bhakti yoga to give its full result. Even the Mayavadi, or not the Gyanis, actual Gyanis, they also have some of these elements. You'll see they're also doing some kirtan. They're also doing some, as worship. The Karma, the Karma, the names of Vishnus are chanted in the Yajna. The Om is chanted. So you'll see some element of bhakti has to be present. If there is no bhakti, they won't give full result or their desired actual result. That is why Vishwanath Thakur says, or the Baldev Vidyabhushan, that Bhakti Yoga chapters are Krishna kept in the middle so that they can give life to Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga. Remember that explanation? Without Bhakti Yoga, no other process can give manifest result. Bhakti Yoga presence is needed.
Thank you.
So now we are entering into the third wave of Eastern Division of Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu. We are in Purvibhag Eastern Division. The first wave was about Samana Bhakti, second wave was of Sadhana Bhakti, and now we're discussing third wave, next two chapters, chapter 17 and 18, which speaks about Bhav Bhakti. What is Bhav Bhakti? We read the definition of Sadhana Bhakti. The goal of Sadhana Bhakti is Bhav. But what is Bhav Bhakti? Can you recall the definition of Sadhana Bhakti? Anyone? What is Sadhana Bhakti? Yes, anyone? Please unmute yourself.
Practices. Yes, Bhakti, please go ahead. Please go ahead.
No, probably.
Prescribed practices done by your senses, with goal as Krishna, with the earning to achieve love of Krishna.
Yeah, which manifests Bhav in the heart, and that Bhav is eternally situated in the heart of living entities. So those activities which are executed by the senses, which manifest Bhav in the heart, that is eternally present in the living entity. So that is Sadhana Bhakti. So Bhav Bhakti is the goal of Sadhana Bhakti. So the exact definition, the exact verse that is given in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is also there in Chaitanya Charitamrita, the definition. So let us take out that verse. So it is in Madhya Leela, 23rd chapter, 5th verse. Shuddh Sattva Visheshatma Prema Suryanshu Samya Bhak Ruchi Bhishchitta Masnya Krida Saubhava Uchyate. Can someone please read?
Hare Krishna. When devotional service is executed on the transcendental platform of pure goodness, it is like a It is like a sun ray of love for Krishna. At such time, devotional service causes the heart to be softened by various tastes, and one is then situated in bhava. emotion.
Okay. So, Shuddha Sattva. Shuddha Sattva means unadulterated goodness. Visheshatma. This Bhav Bhakti is differentiated by what? Vishesha, distinguished. Atma, whose nature, the nature of this Bhav Bhakti is, there has to be presence of Shuddha Sattva. Prem Suryanshu Samya Bhav. Just like Suryansh, a ray of sun. Samya Bhag, which is similar to a ray of sun. Which sun? The sun of prema, of love of God. And what happens in this bhag? Ruchi bhis chitta mashnaya. Ruchi bhis means one tastes various kinds of rasas, or various kinds of taste, different tastes. Why? Because chitta, that means the heart, mashnaya, becomes very soft. The heart becomes very soft, and one experiences different tastes of devotional service. Krit asau bhava uchyate. Bhava uchyate. That stage is said to be the bhav. Okay. So in this definition, Acharyas explain there are some Swarup Lakshan and there are some Tathas Lakshan of Bhav Bhakti. What is a Swarup Lakshan? The primary characteristic of Bhav is Shuddha Sattva Visheshatma. So it is the stage wherein Shuddha Sattva enters the heart. The Shuddha Sattva is not the material mode of goodness, but it is the transcendental, pure goodness. It's the Lord's internal potency, whose function is to revive living entities' dormant love for Krishna. Shuddha Sattva, this is the primary characteristic of Bhav, whose function is to awaken the dormant love of God, Krishna, that the Jiva has. So at this stage, the Shuddha Sattva potency, the internal potency of the Lord enters the heart. It is said, just like a seed cannot grow without being touched by the heat and light of the sun. Similarly, that seed of prema cannot manifest without the touch of internal potency, this Shuddha Sattva. So when a person eagerly wants to serve the Lord, Shuddha Sattva potency may enter his heart or her heart through the mercy of a pure devotee. And as soon as the Shuddha Sattva enters the heart, the seed of prema begins to sprout. So Rupa Goswami says, Bhav is the preliminary stage of prema. Just like in the early morning hours, the sun is not completely in the sky, but the darkness is dispelled by the first ray of sun. So the sky, has the sky risen? No, it's not. But you know that the first ray has come, the sun is about to manifest. That's why it is said, Prema Suryanshu. So, Bhav is the sun ray and Prem is the complete sun. So, the sun and sun ray, qualitatively, they are the same. They're not different. But quantitatively, there is a lot of difference. So, Bhav is the onset of Prem. Just like a dawn is the onset of day. So, this primary characteristic that is said to be Shuddha Sattva, Srila Rupa Goswami says, it is composed of Lord Samvit and Hladini potency. What is Samvit Shakti? Can someone tell what is Samvit Shakti? It's a cognitive or knowledge-giving potency. And Hladini Shakti is a devotional potency. So, Samvit Shakti enters into the heart, which empowers the devotee to perceive and know Krishna. And then Hladini Shakti descends into the devotee's heart, which empowers the devotee to fully manifest bliss of love of Godhead. So when these potencies, Samvit and Hladini, which is said to be the Shuddh Sattva, they combine and manifest in the heart, one can fully begin to relish Krishna as the supreme object of love. So that is Bhav Bhakti. So the primary characteristic of Bhav Bhakti is Shuddha Sattva. What are the secondary characteristics? There are two. One, it softens the heart. Krit Asau, it softens the heart. That means when the heart is soft, one is easily moved or changed by emotion. One experiences emotion to greater intensity. That's why you'll say a person sheds tears, or the different symptoms manifest in the body of that devotee, because the heart has become so soft. Remember that verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, where it is said that about the steel-framed heart, a heart that does not cry in spite the chanting of the holy name of the Lord. There is no ecstasy that takes place when one chants the holy name of the Lord. Certainly, that heart is a steel-framed heart. But here it is completely opposite. That heart is not steel-framed heart. That heart has become softened. So there are tears in the eyes. The hairs stand on the end. The throat is choked with emotions. All those symptoms appear. So that's one. And the secondary characteristic is ruchi bhis, chittamashnaya. That one experiences different kinds of taste. Now, what are these tastes? One can ask, what are these tastes that we are talking about here? So it said there are three kinds of taste. The first is prapti abhilash, means a desire to achieve Krishna. Prapti abhilash. Abhilash is the desire for prapti, to achieve Krishna. The second is desire to please Krishna with various services. This is second kind of taste, anukulya abhilash. And the third is sauhard abhilash, desire to be close at heart with Krishna.
Guruji, can you repeat the third Sanskrit word?
Sauhard abhilash, desire to be close at heart with Krishna. So that is also a different taste or devotional desire. We can say these devotional desires manifest in the heart to achieve Krishna, to please Krishna with various kinds of services, and to be close at heart with Krishna. So the heart is easily moved by Krishna conscious stimulations. So this is a Bhav Bhakti. First of all, let us know what is Bhav Bhakti, at least theoretically. Okay. Any questions so far? Otherwise, then we'll move to the next, more details about the Bhav Bhakti.
Prabhuji, can you please explain again the Samvit and Hladini potency?
Yeah, let's show that first. So this is the definition. This is a verse from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Shuddh Sattva Visheshatma Prema Suryansha Samyabha Ruchi Vishchittamashnaya Kridasau Bhavochate. Bhavochate. That Bhakti is said to be the Bhav Bhakti, which Shuddh Sattva Visheshatma, that is distinguished by the Shuddh Sattva. When devotional service is executed on the transcendental platform of pure goodness, that is like Prema Suryanshu Samyava. It is like a sun ray of love for Krishna. At that time, devotional service causes the heart to be softened by various tastes, and one is then situated in bhav. So the primary characteristic is Shuddha Sattva Visheshatma. Shuddha Sattva is the transcendental potency of the Lord, which is made up of Samvit and Hladini potency. Samvit is the cognitive potency of the Lord. Through this potency, a devotee experiences Krishna, perceive Krishna, know Krishna. And then there is Hladini Shakti, through which one experiences or manifests the bliss of love for Krishna. Okay. So now next, let's okay. Please let us read the first chapter, first paragraph. Someone please read.
By the process of executing regulated devotional service, one is actually elevated onto the transcendental stage beyond the material modes of nature. At that time, one's heart becomes illuminated like a sun. The sun is far above the planetary systems, and there is no possibility of being covered by any kind of clouds. Similarly, when devotee is purified like the sun, from his pure heart, there is a diffusion of ecstatic love, which is more glorious than the sunshine. Only at that time is attachment of Krishna perfect. Spontaneous, the devotees becomes eager to serve the Lord in his ecstatic love. At this stage, the devotee is on the platform of Uttama Adhikari, perfect devotional. Such devotee has no aggression from the material affection and is interested only in the service of the Radha and Krishna.
So next, after defining what is Bhav Bhakti, then how this Bhav Bhakti is attained. Okay. So read this third paragraph.
Elevation to this stage of ecstasy that can be possible in two ways. One way is by constant association with pure devotees. The other way is by the special mercy of Krishna or by the mercy of a pure devotees of Krishna. Elevation to exotic stage of the life of generally attained through the association with pure devotees, while the elevations to that stage by the special mercy of Krishna or his devotee is very rare. The purport is that one should execute the devotional service rigidly in association of the devotees so that there will be certainly in raising oneself to the ecstatic position. In special case, of course, there is a special favor from Krishna, and although we should always expect that we should not sit idly and simply wait for Krishna's special mercy, the regular duty must be performed. It is just as when sometimes it is found that person who never attend school or college may be recognized as a great scholar or a honorary degree from a great university may be offered to him. But this does not mean that one should avoid school and expect to automatically receive the honorary degree from some university. Similarly, one should devotedly execute the regulative principles of devotional service and at the same time the hope from Krishna's favor for his devotional service.
So, elevation to this stage is possible in two ways. What is the first way? By constant association with pure devotees. What does it mean? What happens in pure devotees? We get bhajan and you execute the bhajan. So Srila Prabhupada synonymously used this first way to say by executing the practices of devotional service. Because if you are associating with pure devotee, there will be no other thing than to serve Krishna or the Bhakti Yoga. So first way is by executing the process of Bhakti. What is the second way? Through Kripa, by mercy, in which one did not execute the process of devotional, the limbs of devotional, but simply out of causeless mercy, he attained, he was given bhava. That's the second way. So, for the second way, Prabhupada is explaining, in special case, of course, there is special favor. We should always, although we should always expect that, we should not sit idly and simply wait for Krishna's special mercy. And the example is given, what the honorary degree from great university may be offered does not mean that one should avoid school and expect to automatically receive an honorary degree. That's not the process. Okay. Now, for the first part, through executing of devotional service, now it also has two subdivisions. So the bhav can be attained through Vaidhi sadhana bhakti, or it can be attained through raga nuga sadhana bhakti. So for Vaidhi sadhana bhakti, Srila Rupa Goswami gives the evidence of the life of Narad Muni. Okay, please read the next example. Someone else can continue.
An example of rising to the stage of ecstatic love by executing the regulative principles of devotional service is given in the life story of Narada, which is described to Vyasadeva in Srimad Bhagavatam. Narada tells there of his previous life and how he developed to the stage of ecstatic love. He was engaged in the service of great devotees and used to hear their talks and songs. Because he had the opportunity to hear these pastimes and songs of Krishna from the mouths of pure devotees, he became very attracted within his heart. Because he had become so eager to hear these topics, he gradually developed within himself an ecstatic love for Krishna. This ecstatic love is prior to the pure love of Krishna, because in the next verse, Narada confirms that by the gradual process of hearing from the great sages, he developed love of Godhead. In that connection, Narada continues to say in the first canto, 5th chapter, verse 28 of the Bhagavatam. First, I passed my days in the association of the great sages during the rainy autumn season. Every morning and evening, I heard them while they were singing and chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. And thus my heart gradually became purified. As soon as I heard them with great attention, the influence of the modes of material ignorance and passion disappeared, and I became firmly fixed in devotional service to the Lord.
Okay. So through repeatedly hearing from pure devotees, bhav can be awakened. Now, Srila Rupa Goswami, to further illustrate this point, that how simply by hearing from pure devotees, one can attain bhav, he quotes example from 3rd canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, where Lord Kapila is saying, my dear mother, when a person is actually in the association with pure devotees, the sublime potency of my devotional service can be experienced. And Prabhupada concludes, in other words, when a pure devotee speaks, his word acts upon the heart of the audience. What is the secret of hearing and chanting? A professional speaker cannot impress transcendental ecstasy within the hearts of the listener. However, when a realized soul who is engaged in the service of the Lord is speaking, he has the potency to inject spiritual life within the audience. One should therefore seek the association of such pure unalloyed devotees, and by such association and service, a neophyte devotee will certainly develop attachment, love, and devotion for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, through Vaidhi sadhana bhakti, this is how we can attain bhav. These are examples of them. And that's why the source of knowledge is very, 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 very important. One should not just listen to anyone and everyone without discrimination. That's why Prabhupada again and again say, hear from a devotee, hear from a devotee. By hearing from realized soul, that realized soul has a potency to inject spiritual life within the audience. Right? That is why we are so blessed with so many wonderful recordings of Srila Prabhupada's discourse. Don't think that Prabhupada is physically not present, though that Vani won't act. No, it is transcendental on a transcendental plane. It is not in the modes of nature. It's beyond the influence of time. It is equally potent. It is equally powerful if we, just remember. Simply, if we hear Prabhupada's lecture, that Vani has a potency to inject that spiritual life, to inject that transcendental ecstasy within the heart of the listener. And of course, other pure devotees, to the degree one is realized, to that degree they have the potency to inject that spiritual life. That is why I will see, Srila Prabhupada would, not Srila Prabhupada, there's a very famous story, some says about Mahatma Gandhi, some says about some other person. But when this mother took her son and to this person and says, Swamiji, he eats lot of sweet. Please tell him, don't eat sweet. And says, okay, come after 1 week. Then after 1 week, they come. Okay. And he says, Beta, don't eat sweet. And then he stops eating sweet. And his mother asks, you could have said the same thing to the previous meeting also. They said, that time I was eating sweets myself. But what happened when one practices the same, one gets that potency, one gets that purity. So to the degree one has realization, to that degree, they can impart that. So, the exalted souls, maybe they're saying the same thing, you are not body, you're spirit souls. And someone new may be saying the same thing. But if someone who is realized, just the external form and, the words and sentences can be the same, but the potency and the penetration in the heart is very different. It can be very, very different because they carry that realization. So that's the one. Through Vaidhi sadhana, we attained bhav. Then further, Srila Rupa Goswami gives the example of through Raga Nuga sadhana, one can attain bhav. Yes. In the Padma Puran, there is a story of a neophyte devotee who, in order to raise herself to the ecstatic platform, danced all night to invoke the Lord's grace upon us. This is Raga Nuga Sadhana. So, what is that story in Padma Puran? It is a story of a lady named Chandrakanti who saw the deity of Krishna. And as soon as she saw the deity of Krishna, she suddenly had the spontaneous desire to dance with Krishna throughout the night. So her dancing is an example of Raga Nuga Sadhana Bhakti because she desired to develop the sentiments of Ragatmika, in this case, Gopis of Raj. So through that Raga Nuga Sadhana, she achieved Bhav. And why this is a example of Bhav? Because she manifested the first symptom of Bhav, that is Avyart Karatvam. Not to waste time is a symptom of Bhav. So, the first way of getting Bhav is through practice. Second way is through mercy. Through practice, there are two kinds of practice, by Vaidhi sadhana and by Raga Nuga sadhana. Now, how we can attain Bhav by mercy? That example is given. Sometimes, however, it is found that without undergoing any devotional process, one all of a sudden develops devotion for Lord Krishna. This sudden development of the devotional attitude in a person must be understood as a special mercy of Krishna or of his devotee. That is through mercy. Okay. So how this mercy is given? This concept of mercy looks very mysterious and looks very mystical. How does it work, that process of mercy? And Srila Rupa Goswami gives elaborations upon that. So there are three ways of receiving Krishna's mercy. The first way is through Vachika, which is said to be by verbal blessing. So sadhu speaks something, I realize solar devotees, through their speech, we receive mercy through their words, through their vani. So that is one form of mercy, first and foremost. Second is darshan dan, that a pure devotee appears in person, and through their darshan we receive mercy. Simply by receiving their darshan, the mercy can be received. That's darshan dan. And third is harda, the person within one's heart. It's a heartfelt, unspoken mercy that one wishes someone well. That's mercy. So simply by speaking, simply by glancing, and simply by good wishes. Three ways of receiving mercy. As Prabhupada writes here, simply by speaking, simply, you see this mercy here, this line can be divided into three groups: simply by speaking, simply by glancing, and simply by good wishes. Okay. So then Srila Rupa Goswami gives example of all three mercies. What is the example of Vachika or verbal blessing? So he quotes from Naradiya Puran. Lord Krishna said to Narad, O best of Brahmins, I wish that you may develop unalloyed devotional service to me, which is full of transcendental bliss and all auspiciousness. That is through Vachika. Then by personal presence, then the next example is from Skand Puran about developing ecstatic love towards Krishna simply by glancing. It is stated, when the inhabitants of Jangal province saw the personality of Godhead Krishna, they were so stricken with feelings that they could not withdraw their glances from him. That's an example of Darshan Dan. And third, through the heartfelt blessings. As far as heartfelt wishes are concerned, there is a statement in the Shuk Samhita where Nara tells Srila Vyasadeva, you have a son who's the greatest devotee of the personality of Godhead, and I can observe that without any following of the regulative principles of devotional service, he is already enriched with many of the symptoms achieved by the execution of devotional service after many, many births. Through Shukha Samhita. So there are more examples about that. I mean, the chapter is concluded with the examples of how within one's heart one blesses and one evokes power. So the another examples are of first example is of Prahlad Maharaj. Narad addresses King Yudhishthira. My dear king, it is very difficult to describe the character of Prahlad. He developed a natural attraction for Krishna. And whatever I can explain about his character will simply be an arrangement of words. His actual character is impossible to describe. This means that Narad himself admitted that the natural development of Prahlad's ecstatic love was by the grace of Lord Krishna. This natural attraction for Krishna on the part of Prahlad was developed simply by the mercy of Narad. Okay. You can ask, Narad Muni saved Prahlad's mother from the attack of demigods, right? He took them into his ashram. He was speaking Bhagavad. Why only Prahlad Maharaj became a pure devotee? Why not his mother? Both were hearing Bhagavatam, na? Both were hearing Narad's Muni instruction. Because in his heart, Narad Muni was very intended that this child should become a devotee. Simply through that. And then the other example is of Mrigari, famous pastime of Narad Muni. My dear Narad, of all saintly person, you are so great and glorious that simply by your good wishes, a low-born hunter has also become a great elevated devotee of Lord Krishna. Okay, so that's his, chapter 17 about Bhav Bhakti. Next chapter deals with all the symptoms of Bhav Bhakti and other topics also. Before we move to the next chapter, any questions so far? Don't. That's why it is said to be the law book. There's no scope for speculation about what is mercy, what is this, and what is that. Everything is described in detail, very, very specifically. When we hear of these terms like bhav, sadhana, what exactly are they? Very crystal clearly, very specifically, Rupa Goswami's breakdown into very crystal clear points about that. What is bhav, what is prem, what is, sadhana, raga, nuga, mercy, all these concepts, very big, big concepts. Yes, Ananta Mataji, your hand is up.
Yeah, Prabhuji. So the example given of Prahlad Maharaj, first it is written that it is solely by the mercy of Krishna, and in the next para, why Narad Muni chose Prahlad Maharaj, and he should hear. So it is. Can we take the example of Prahlad Maharaj that it is by he became a devotee by the mercy of both Krishna and the devotee?
So Narad Muni a devotee never thinks that due to my mercy he became a devotee. Narad Muni is thinking only because of Krishna it happened. I am nothing, I did nothing. That's a mood and attitude of a pure devotee. He is not thinking because I blessed Narad Prahlad, therefore he became a devotee. So that's one. And then the next point, the Shastra is explained because it was a mercy of Narad Muni. Within his heart, he desired that this boy should become a pure devotee. He blessed him. And it's not that he chose or he discriminates. These blessings are not, given. That is something I have. I hold it for myself. I'll give to this person. I'll not give to that person. It's not, doesn't work like that. It naturally comes from the heart. That's why it is said you serve someone. It is not that devotee, okay, now I am pleased, I will give the mercy. When you serve and you please someone, those wishes, those blessings naturally erupt from the blessings, from the heart, when a person is actually pleased. So, and this is the secret of spiritual life, Srila Prabhupada said. When you serve spiritual master and he becomes pleased by genuine service and by genuine mood of humility and submission, all the realizations within his heart, those blessings, he just, they come to the disciple in form of his blessings and good wishes. And to such an extent that Prabhupada writes in one of the purport of Bhagavad Gita, even if one has not followed any executive limbs of sadhana bhakti, but if the spiritual master is pleased from his heart, the blessings come, that disciple can still attain all perfection. Someone who has not followed 4 regulative principles, someone who has not chanted 16 rounds, someone who has not, but they rendered some service to spiritual master, to some devotee of Krishna, and through their mercy, all perfection can be done. But of course, that is not the standard process. One has to go through. It's not that, okay, nothing, and I'll do something here and there, I'll get mercy. That doesn't work like that. Yes, Mandaleshwar Prabhu. Sorry, first Mukund Priya Mataji and then Mandaleshwar.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, although you have already answered what I was about to ask about mercy, said that why Prahlad Maharaj only got that mercy, not the other than
Yes.
Prahlad Maharaj.
Yes, naturally comes when you see a young child. Naturally, want to wish well for the child.
Yes,
It's not a pure devotee desires everyone's benefit. That's why he gave Bhagavatam. He narrated Bhagavatam. He protected both the mother and the child. Then it's up to them, however we want to. But still, if a pure devotee naturally develops a desire, may this person becomes a devotee, may this person becomes take up to Krishna consciousness. It's just that is why it is mercy, na? Otherwise, it's a mercy.
No, but is it coming somewhere in Shastras like Narad Muni itself, what was he in the past life or something? How he got mercy, like
Canto Bhagavatam.
no, Prahlad Maharaj, Narad Muni knows that he is a devotee from the beginning, like.
Narad Muni is Trikalagya. He's free from any illusions. He knows past, he knows present, he knows future. The Mahabhagavats like Narad Muni on the level mantra are Trikalagya. They can see the past, present, and future. It's described in Bhagavatam, first canto.
Thank you. Probably one more question, maybe it's a very stupid question. So, although you have mentioned like how we can get association of pure devotee, like listening to the Prabhupada lecture and all. So, how to identify, like in day-to-day life, we interact with many devotees, and so
It is not so cheap.
yes.
You have to try for that. You have to beg Krishna, give me that association. Doesn't come on a daily basis. And even if it is given for 1/14th of a second, it has a potential to give full perfection of spiritual life. Even lava matra sadhu sarva siddhi hoye. Not so easy, Mataji. So you have to, when we go and pray to the deities and Krishna, we pray for many things. How many times do we pray, please give me association of your devotees? But if you read Bhagavatam, 90 prayers, 91 prayers. I think almost all the prayers are asking for this one thing. Give me that association of devotees whose heart is completely free from material vices, who are completely absorbed in hearing and chanting about you. Dhruv Maharaj saw Lord Vishnu. What is he praying? So he knew that Vishnu will disappear in some time. Where will I go after that? He says, please give me devotees who are always chanting and hearing about me.
That means, Prabhuji, that also comes by mercy.
Absolutely. If you read first canto, when Shukdev Goswami enters the assembly last, it is said those devotees, they make themselves seen out of their own causeless mercy. So those devotees who were with Prabhupada, who saw Prabhupada dancing in Rath Yatra, it takes a lot of causeless mercy, a lot of bhakti to witness a pure devotee like Prabhupada dancing for Lord Jagannath. Or when Lord Chaitanya used to dance, we hear those descriptions and read those descriptions in Chaitanya Charitamrita. So it's the causeless mercy to see Lord Chaitanya dancing in the Sankirtan. Simply by looking at that dance, the entire atmosphere would be surcharged with so much of devotion toward Krishna. Simply by seeing Lord Chaitanya dancing in Sankirtan, Krishna Prem would manifest fully in the heart of a looker. So to see pure devotees chanting and dancing in Kirtan, one needs to be the most fortunate jiva in this creation to witness that. It's not a cheap thing.
That understood, maybe like Kali Buddhi. That's why I'm thinking negative also. Like, will it work negatively also? Like, I think day before yesterday's class, there was discussion about appearance. Like the person can appear like a devotee, but inside he cannot. Maybe he is devotee or he's not. So if we associate, like, we don't know that who's pure devotee or who's not. So how to deal with this and how to get association? Because association is very important then.
So, how do we identify? One is we get what we are looking for. If you are looking for purity, you'll be attracted to that person. If you are looking for one is at whatever stage we are, we attract a certain kind of association also, and we want to associate with a certain kind of people. So first, the state of our heart defines that. What are we looking for in life? You'll find in ISKCON also, or in any other faith-based organization, or in any circle, in any community, you'll find there are certain devotees who are very serious about sadhana, who really want to serve Krishna, want to preach and so on. Also, you will find people who would be saying, "Oh, why there's so much of hurry? Why they are doing so much? We should make proper balance. We should just lie down and that kind of attitude. Just lay back, do little rounds here and there, come to classes, rest. We'll do other things. That kind of." And then you'll find other kind of association. When they come together, they're always criticizing, always finding fault about this and that and this and that. So there's a whole spectrum, of you'll find people with their consciousness manifesting with their aspiration and desire. So it depends, what are we looking for? We would want to hang out with persons on which a fire of Krishna consciousness is very strong. We want to hang out with persons in which fire of Krishna consciousness is very weak, material desires are very high. Or what exactly are we looking for? So I think that's why in ISKCON, one of the big blessings of Srila Prabhupada is that you'll find many, many varieties of relationships. It's not that only, okay, this one person is there and then no one else matters. We are living in a society, so we can draw inspiration from many, many devotees. So with one devotee who would be very serious about japa, we remember when we were doing DT worship course, in the first 3 weeks, we were given this exercise that we had to identify the values or the qualities of the other person, what they value in life. We have to identify without asking from them. That was the exercise. So let us say I'm in class with 30 students. I have to identify, if I want to name a person, I have to identify what that person really values. So for example, if you see for next 4 months, or let's say for next 1 week, you see that person is always there at 4 o'clock in the temple hall. He's or she is chanting, sitting at one place. You definitely know that japa is a very important value in their life, right? So once we were given that task, we were always looking about their qualities. Suddenly our attitude was completely shifted because we had to identify. So we are always identifying what quality he or she has. So someone valued, they were very pakka about reading their books. They were very particular about punctuality. Someone were very particular about cleanliness. Someone spoke very gently. Someone, even in adverse condition, they were not agitating. They were not speaking harsh word. They were tolerant. So that way, your observation slowly became more and more subtle, and you were able to identify. But the point is, there are so many variety of Vaishnavas. We can take inspiration for various things for in our life. That's one. Second, whatever state we are in, whatever state we wish to aspire for, usually we attract that kind of circle. So when we work on our own heart, you'll find you'll attract similar kind of association also. Third, we pray to Krishna for getting association of pure Vaishnavas. Please bless us. So whenever is in your area, some devotees are visiting, they are giving discourses. So then we make time to attend to that. We give them priority. Let me just go and listen from them, hear from them, or serve them, and take their darshan, anything, So that's how. Otherwise, it takes our own experience. We take a study of Shastras and we hear from other devotees. When we hear about someone's glories, when we serve them, then only we would come to know. Otherwise, it's not. Simply by looking, how can we? You have to hear their glories from someone. You have to serve them. And then the relationship has to be more realistic. Oftentimes there is a very unrealistic expectation. Now those person will have wings, and how they put their chadar and how they walk, and we have a very different kinds of, and sometimes imagination also. And we have so much big, those person will suddenly have 4 hands, or they will do this or that. But point is, the more you serve and the more you know what kind of things to look for, their attachment to Krishna, their love for Krishna, the kind of conversations they have, the kind of, the qualities they exhibit, the state of heart that is expressed, one can know only through seva and through their vani, listening. And it takes some time also.
Thank you, Vijay. Thank you so much. Very nicely explained. Thank you. Very good.
Yes, bro. Mandaleshwar Prabhu?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Prabhu, you told that there are 3 ways of mercy. That is verbal, darshan, and
3 ways of receiving mercy. Yes.
Prabhu, this mercy it depends upon the person who is. Now we see that fourth person, Amrish Prabhu, has verbally got that message and he is totally dedicated for Krishna. We heard so many times, it depends upon our inclination, but he was not to receive that message still, but he got that proper message, what he want to get. That is only the verbal, he received that. And he got totally dedicated his life for this mission of Prabhupada missions. Like that, this special mercy will focus on some particular person, or what does
So when we are talking about this subject of mercy, Srila Rupa Goswami present this in the context of receiving bhav, how one can receive bhav through mercy. And then he elaborates there are 3 ways of bhav, receiving mercy, through which bhav can be attained immediately. And he gives example for all 3. Okay. That he gives in the context of attaining bhav through mercy. Now, this principle can be elaborated. We understand, okay, these are the 3 channels to other areas also. Now, the example you're speaking about, Amrish Prabhu, or any devotee who receives the instruction from spiritual master. So that is also one way of receiving mercy. Yet, it is not that it may or may not, I don't know, that immediately bhava may not be evoked. But that mercy is there. That bhajan kriya is given through sadhu sangha. But Amrish Prabhu then, or any other devotee for that matter, executed that sadhana, executed those instruction. There's no bypassing that. After attaining bhava, also one has to render devotional service only. Na? What next? Okay, you attain bhava. What will happen next? Right? Here you have to execute those devotional service only. So it's not that things became very easy for them. Suddenly they heard one instruction and now the life is all flowery and they're going and just distributing flowers everywhere. The spiritual life is like a cakewalk, and no, they received the instruction. But they executed their own sadhana, they rendered devotional service, they had to follow whatever everything, all they have to face all the challenges, all the difficulties. We see from the life of Prabhupada himself. We say there is a Nitya Siddha who descended from spiritual world, but yet he underwent all the struggles, severe struggles, more than anyone else, to start Krishna conscious movement. It's not that when we experienced heart attack, there was no pain, or when he felt abandoned by everyone, he was crying alone in wilderness. When he was sick, he was sick. He used to feel cold. How do we know? Prabhupada himself told when he was in a foreign land, when his things were stolen. Imagine being in a foreign land and your property stolen in that. How does it feel? So he underwent one setback after another setback. But yes, bhava means the lobha, intense greed to serve Krishna in various ways. So that motivation, that lobha keeps one moving in to serve Krishna despite all odds. But it's not that suddenly everything will become easy, everything will become worked done. We tried for 40 years, not one person became devotee, nothing worked out externally. But the point is the state of heart we are discussing, right? That state of heart was governed by this desire to serve Krishna. That spontaneous desire is there in the heart. That is.
Prabhu, this inclination of bhakti depend the mercy, Prabhu. What type of inclination we are doing in bhakti, that only flow the mercy will do, or it should be.
So the entire process of bhakti yoga is ultimately to seek mercy, right? It's a descending process. So Srila Bhaktivedanta Sudri Thakur gives an example of a monkey and a cat. The monkey is holding on to his mother, the cat picks the kitten from his mouth. So then he asked, which one is the better? Just like a monkey, the child baby monkey who is holding on to the mother, or like a cat who picks the kitten. So both are there. Just like someone is fallen in a well, someone gives rope from the above. So that rope is a mercy. But that person has to hold the rope and has to climb up also. Right? So similarly, this process, everything is based on mercy. Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Beach. Without Guru, we cannot get this Bhakti Lata Beach. Without Vaishnavas, we cannot get Bhajan Kriya. But when that is given, it is me who has to take responsibility and execute it for my life. The free will that has been given to you, it means you'll have to choose and decide what you want in life. It's not that you'll have to still take decisions in life. You'll still have to make choices every single day, every single moment. We can always pick up our beat bag and chant our rounds, or we can always keep that down and do any sort of sense gratification. That choice is there, that responsibility is there. So, yeah.
Thank you very much. It's very nicely.
So I think there are still 7 minutes. I want to start, chapter 18. Let us just read about the symptoms of Bhav Bhakti. Srila Rupa Goswami is describing the descriptions of Bhav Bhakti. Okay, please let us, can someone please read all the 9 symptoms?
Rupa Goswami next describes the characteristics of a person who has actually developed his ecstatic love for Krishna. The characteristics are as follows. He is always anxious to utilize his time in the devotional service of the Lord. He does not like to be idle. He wants service always, 24 hours a day without deviation. He is always reserved and perseverant. He is always detached from all material attraction. He does not long for any material respect in return for his activities. He is always certain that Krishna will bestow his mercy upon him. He is always very eager to serve the Lord faithfully. He is very much attached to the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. He is always eager to describe the transcendental qualities of the Lord. And he is very pleased to live in a place where the Lord's pastimes are performed. Example, Mathura, Vrindavan, or Dwarka.
Okay. So you see, what was the secondary characteristic of Bhav Bhakti? That the heart becomes very soft and the heart becomes very sensitive to Krishna conscious emotions. Okay, just like crying, shivering, faltering of voice, which characterize a soft disposition. But anyone can imitate, any actor can imitate tears and shivering, right? Um, some person, it just need good practice, and we can also cry like that and roll on the ground and can shout Krishna, Krishna. So Acharya says those are non-reliable symptoms because someone can imitate them, cheap. But these are, and write down that verse 2:3:24, Srimad Bhagavatam. Please read that purport. 2:3:24. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur very critically discusses all this bhav in that purport. So, but no one can artificially imitate these 9 symptoms that Rupa Goswami writes. So these are 9 reliable symptoms if you have to understand if someone is on the level of bhav or not. Because anyone can imitate crying. Anyone can, with some practice, we can also stand our hands on the air, on our body, and so on. But very, very difficult. No one can artificially imitate these 9 symptoms. So these symptoms are the reliable symptoms. And the first one is Abhyarth Kalatvam. Always anxious to utilize his time in devotional service. He or she does not like to be idle. Always want service 24 hours a day without even a single deviation. That is Abhyarth Kalatvam. And second is Shanti. That means perseverance. Perseverant. They are reserved. They are tolerant and patient, even amidst disturbance. So when there is disturbance, when there are reversals, a Bhav Bhakta will be steady. They will be patient. They will be tolerant, and they will persevere in their service. The third is Virakti. That means detachment from material attraction. It means complete indifference to the objects of sense gratification. The fourth is Man Shunyata, pridelessness. Does not long for any material respect in return for his activities. One may be very elevated, but yet internally they feel humble. That's a symptom of bhav. It is not they have to feel humble or they are just imitating. They naturally feel humble. They actually feel humble. The fifth is Asha Bandha, hope against hope. Always certain that Krishna will bestow his mercy upon him. So, they possess the firm faith that Krishna will deliver me to the highest perfection, even though one feels low and utter unqualified to achieve on its own. But still, there is hope, Asha Bandha. All these are given great hope. And then is Samutkantha, eagerness for achieving the desired success. Intense eagerness to achieve pure loving service. And then attachment to chanting the holy names of the Lord. Naam Gane Sada Ruchi. Then is Asakti Stad Gunakhyani, eagerness, Asakti. For what? Tad Gunakhyani, to glorify Lord's quality. And finally, Priti Stad Vasti Sthale, attraction for living in a place where Krishna has his pastimes. Okay. These are the 9 symptoms of Bhakti. Okay, it's 9:29. We'll stop here. Otherwise, we'll continue tomorrow. I think tomorrow we'll cover chapter 19. Okay. And if there are any questions and discussions pending, we can revise if you want on Friday, or if everything gets completed tomorrow, we can get off on Friday as well. Okay. So thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Bhakti Samrit Sindhu ki jai. If you have any questions, you can ask. Otherwise, the class is complete.
Prabhuji, where can we find?
Yeah.
Prabhuji, where can we find these Sanskrit terms? Are there any corresponding Madhya Leela, Chaitanya Charitamrita verses where these Sanskrit terms can be found?
They are not in their manual, Bhakti śāstrī manual.
I will look, Prabhuji.
If they are not there, I'll send you.
Thank you.
Okay.
One question, Prabhu, related to this folio view that you use, Prabhu. Is it, how do we get it?
What? How? Please ask.
The software that you're using, Prabhu, the folio view.
It's available Vedabase, and just type Vedabase software on Google.
Okay.
If you don't have, then I can upload and send you the link. But on Mac, to run it on Mac, you have to have some provisions. You have to have simulation for a Windows, and then through that only you can run.
Okay.
On Windows, it will run easily, but for Mac, you have to make some provision to run it on.
Okay. Thank you.
Janika Mataji.
Hi Krishna Prabhuji, Dhanvat Pranam. Prabhuji, I have a question from last limb which we have read. It is mentioned there 24 hours into 7 we have to think about Krishna. In a Grasta life, it's
Now,
not
where
possible.
it is written?
Just we have read in 9 limbs last.
9 symptoms of
Symptoms, yes, Prabhuji, yes.
No, then you don't have to read. Bhav, okay. Bhav is not a sadhana. It is the effect of sadhana.
No, Prabhuji, I'm asking, it is written there 24 hours we have to be Krishna conscious. But in Grasta life, there are so many activities and we also work. So how can we, and we sleep also. So at the time of sleeping, how can we be Krishna conscious?
Yes.
It's not possible.
It is possible. And our acharyas give example to help us understand this point. They give 2 examples. They give many examples. 2 I can recall right now. One, Just like a mother has a child and she's attached to the child. So whatever work she's doing, she's always remembering the child. So even if the child has gone to the school, she sees her shoe, she sees her clothes, she's immediately reminded of the child because she loves the child, because she has a relationship with the child. The other example that Lord Chaitanya gives is just like a wife who has a paramour. So although that wife will always be very attentive to do her household duties because she's afraid that no one should have any kind of suspect. But in her heart, she's always thinking and wanting to meet her paramour. This example is given by Lord Chaitanya himself. So similarly, he said to Raghunath Das Goswami, you do all your household duties properly, but in your heart, always think of Radha and Krishna. How will that be possible? When we have a relationship with them. When there is prema, premanjana churita bhakti vilochana, santa sadai hridayeshu vilokayanti yamasham sundaram gunachintya swarupam govindamadi purusham tamaham vajami. When the eyes are haunted with love of God, then we can see Krishna everywhere. You are saying, how is it possible in of Grahastha life? I'm saying the purpose of Grahastha life is to awaken this love. The purpose of human life, the purpose of all duties, whether in Brahmachari, Grahastha, Vanprastha, Sannyas, is to attain that love of Krishna. If that goal is not in the perspective, if that goal is not there in the center, then Shrameva hi kevalam. Vishwaksena katha suya Shrameva hi kevalam. If those duties are not evoking our attraction to the messages of Godhead, then that is simply a useless labor. So it is possible. How it is possible? When we take our bhajan kriya seriously. How to take that seriously? How do we get our bhajan? From sadhu sangha, from Guru. So if we follow the instructions of Guru, if we take our, the morning program, these limbs of devotional service, to whatever degree we are doing, whatever bhajan our Guru has given, if we do them seriously and we associate with Vaishnavas, that is very much possible. And it is not a one-day process. It takes time. It's a gradually process. Sometimes it takes many lifetimes. And yet, by mercy of Lord Chaitanya and Srila Prabhupada, the process they have given, within this lifetime, we can get full perfection. So it's a art that we need to learn how to balance between our different roles. We may have to act as a daughter, act as a wife, act as a mother. Then there are commitments in devotee circle also. So then we need to learn how to manage, how to prioritize, and how to have a lifestyle that is progressive. So that is why this entire science is there. That is why these courses are there. That is why the Sangha is there, somehow or other to help us. So initially, before coming with devotees, we were not chanting anything. We did not know who is Krishna. We did not know who is Rupa Swami Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu. But you have already made that progress, right? You are already chanting. You are already, you have enrolled for Bhakti śāstrī course. You are already giving, 2 hours every day. And you are attempting to study this. You are writing OBS, CBS. So you are already doing. Earlier, you were not doing all this thing before coming in contact. That's I'm assuming. I don't know, but I'm assuming.
Yes, Prabhu.
Contact. But now you are able to chant your rounds. Now you are doing this. You are aspiring for that. That aspirations is there. So that is all progress now.
Still, Prabhuji, if I talk about myself, I always criticize myself that this is not sufficient. Like I chant my 16 rounds in the morning and the whole day I don't look at chanting. It's like it's just accountability, that I am accountable to my guru. I have to chant 16 rounds in the morning, and that's sufficient. I don't have that particular love that I want to chant more and more, like 18 rounds, 20 rounds. There is no
So,
desire in the heart because of a busy schedule.
so that
I
is,
get some work,
Mataji,
freelance work. I also have to perform work also.
so I'm saying, you're chanting 16 round every day. That's a very glorious thing. So this is another thing, how to deal with ourselves. There's often a tendency we keep criticizing ourselves. You're not doing enough. You're not doing enough. You're so bad. You're so low. And what do we do in the process? We are comparing ourselves with the level of Haridas Thakur, with the level of Prabhupada, with the level of Bhakti Thakur. Imagine a person who has taken admission into nursery and is always thinking, I'm useless, I'm worthless. Why? Because I don't know how to differentiate, how to integrate, or how to do this equation, that equation. Saying, does it make any sense? No, because we may not be on that level, but we are on that path. That is why that attitude and that direction is very important. So first thing we have to understand, I am at somewhere. We have to celebrate that also. I may not be at on that level, but you are at somewhere. Accept that where we are, and just think, what is my next step I need to take? Otherwise, this can be a very endless cycle, and this can be a very negative spiral. We can just, lamentation is one of the sign of tamogun and rajogun also. See, lamentation is also laziness. Do you know why? Because I don't make any effort. I just lament and I just do. Uh, After lamentation, it's very possible. It's very easy now. I blame myself and then I do nothing, and it's easier to stay in that zone. That's a intellectual and laziness also. So kick away that laziness. No lamentation. You are here at certain point. Celebrate that. You are chanting 16 round every day. That's very wonderful thing. Celebrate that. Accept that. Now define what you want to do next. Some days you want to do chant 20 rounds. Okay, then prioritize at least once in a month or not prioritize for the whole life. Just take for next Ekadashi, I'll chant more rounds. I'll chant 20 rounds on this Ekadashi or 25 rounds. Just write and try to do that. That's all. Take initiatives for sadhana. But the point is, just don't artificially compare yourself with very, very advanced stages and be depressed. Those advanced stages should inspire us, not make us depressed. And we are at somewhere, accept that. And just take one more step, next step. That's all.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you for explaining so nicely. Thank you. Hare Krishna, Danvat Pranam.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Anandita Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, Prabhupada has given the summary study of anodi, but there are no shlokas over there. So my first question is that, has he covered all the shlokas up to chapter 19?
Yes, Mataji. Prabhupada has given everything.
Okay,
And
so
read more in detail. So those books have been translated by a disciple of Srila Prabhupada, His Holiness Bhanuswami Maharaj. So he has translated verse by verse. And those books are also available.
Okay, my next question was this only, that no, I'm not asking for the detail as of now. I just want to ask that, is there any book in which the shlokas with Prabhupada's writings are given, so that we can relate every writing in relation to that shloka?
There is a book, Waves of Devotion by His Holiness Dhanurdhar Swami Maharaj. That's a very wonderful book. I already told about that in the previous class. So that's one.
So in that book, all the shlokas are also mentioned?
No, Mataji, all shlokas are not there. But the context for each paragraph of Prabhupada is there. The
Okay, my
shlokas you
first
will find in book by His Holiness Bhanuswami Maharaj, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu.
okay, the shloka part that for which I'm asking, that will be in Bhanuswami's
Yes.
Maharaj's book.
Yes. Shloka and translation both.
Okay. And these translations are given, right? Prabhupada's summary study is given.
No, Mataji, summary study is different. Verse translation is different.
Oh,
Summary study is not verse by verse translation.
okay.
Summary study is that you summarize the subject and give.
Mhm.
Verse translation is different. Just like introduction to Bhagavad Gita, that's a summary of Bhagavad Gita.
Understood.
But the meaning is like verse by verse, that is different. So this is the summary study of Nectar of Devotion. It's not every single detail in verse by verse translation. It's a summary study by Srila Prabhupada.
Okay, I understood your point. Okay, thank you so much. Then I'll get that book because how to relate the shlokas and some of them are the important ones also. So if I want to memorize those, Prabhuji, like you were mentioning about the potency of a pure devotee, and you mentioned about Prabhupada. Many persons have seen him, but very few have developed that attraction for any attraction they might have, but very few have actually started practicing Krishna consciousness. And
How do
we
know
see
very
in our
few?
lives also.
How do we know
Sorry.
that? How do we know very few? Define very few. What does it mean?
Okay, as far as my understanding that when we read about Prabhupada in Prabhupada's biography, and we see other things that Prabhupada used to give lectures to devotees, used to hold a big pandal programs and lectures in the universities and at many places. So all people had the association of Srila Prabhupada. But as far as what I have heard that there were only 10,000 practicing devotees during the time of Prabhupada, till Prabhupada was here. So in that sense, I'm asking, and there is another question. So if you want, then can you kindly correct
So
me?
I've not, those 10,000 number was given in a particular context when a reporter asked how many followers of yours are there, and he asked how many participated in Rath Yatra. So darshan of a pure devotee is all auspicious. Everyone is a very different individual at a very different stage in their journey in life. They accept, and they take in whatever capacity they can, but it's all auspicious. So statistically, we don't have, how many, we have a number of how many took initiations from Srila Prabhupada. And that number is huge. Considering what condition Srila Prabhupada was keeping 4 regulative principles, 16 rounds of chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra in Western countries where no one has heard about Krishna Ram, where culturally that was a part of their lifestyle. Considering all that factor, the number of devotees who took initiation was a huge number. It's not very few. It's miraculously huge. In a place where even to get just one person, before that we see how many times Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj tried preaching in the West, just to make one person convinced of Krishna consciousness. Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj said we have to spend gallons and gallons of blood, and within the short span of 10 years 4,000 people, Westerners. I mean, I don't know what's the definition of huge then. Why it's very few? It's a huge number. And his example is so pure and potent that 50 years even after his disappearance, there are thousands and millions of followers seeking inspiration from that example. So the place from where I see I don't see any other person in the history with that kind of potency and the example. That's why I wanted to ask, what define few? How do you define few? What's your question? Oh, sorry, I interrupted you.
No, that's fine. And thank you so much for this. And I truly agree that the generations, for the future generations, will be gaining inspiration from Prabhupada. And he is and he will be the Siksha Guru for all. So in that sense, there would be huge following. But this question arose in my mind when we were talking about the mercy of in the context with Pranat Maharaj. So quite often we see in our classes, in my classes or in my Mataji's classes, that many people just come, they come and start practicing, and they progress very quickly. They take up the process very fast, in spite of whatever challenges they have. And many, in spite of they have favorable circumstances, or they may or may not have, but still they are just lagging. रगड़ रहे हैं, या फिर eventually they just leave. I don't know. There are many factors. I don't want to get into all these things. So why does it happen? I mean, there is only one answer, that it all depends on the sincerity of the person practicing, that they have to take the process, or there are other things also.
Chapter 1, Nectar of Devotion, we discuss this very question. How does one start devotional service in this life? And Rupa Goswami says, based upon their service in previous life. So whatever spiritual progress one has made, that is eternal. If one has progressed, let's say, one may be on the level of bhav, but one dies, doesn't achieve perfection. Next birth, they start from the level of bhav. They immediately take up those things. So everyone is at a very different journey of spiritual lives there. And we may externally see and judge on these parameters, but Krishna's parameter and vision is very different. Our parameter is, who takes up the chanting 16 round for regulative principle, and that's it. But Krishna, if you practically externally analyze the life of Ajamil, externally there will be material failure, but that material failure also became a cause of his spiritual success. He was redeemed in that. So Krishna consciousness, as a preacher, our viewpoint is what Srila Rupa Goswami writes in Nectar of Devotion. In the mood of distributing the message of Parampara, need to do our part, and then should not think any about further. Sometimes it becomes too overwhelmed and too complicated and this and that. We need to do our duty, and whoever takes, whoever doesn't take, doesn't take. It is between them and Krishna. As a preacher, I should utilize all my talents. I should utilize all my intelligence to give my best to serve Krishna, to bring anyone. If there is any spark of Krishna consciousnness, how can I fan it? That's all. How can I behave in such a way that those person can come nearer to Krishna? One time Srila Prabhupada said, the devotee's heart should reflect the love Krishna has for living entity. So that kindness and that love, when it reflects from a devotee's heart. But if a devotee is speaking very strongly, very harsh, very rude, but that is not coming from a place of compassion, but is coming from a place of ego. So often we send more people away than bring nearer to Krishna. And people get an impression, I don't want to become a devotee. That's why Prabhupada said, how will your followers be known? The first, it's such a profound and simple answer. They'll be perfect gentlemen, a gentlewoman. So devotee just doesn't mean 16 rounds and 4 regulative principles. Those are very important elements of sadhana, no doubt. The devotee also has to express, manifest those Vaishnava qualities in our character, in our behavior. The 26 qualities of Vaishnava, those also has to manifest in our heart, in our lives. The 4 regulative principles, the pillars of dharma has to be there. Austerity, compassion, non-violence, truthfulness, and the 26 qualities of Vaishnavas. How humble am I? How kind am I? How do I treat other living entities? How do I treat my fellow members? Right?
So, Prabhuji, yeah, thank you so much, Prabhuji. Oftentimes, I couldn't be sometimes regular in these annual classes just because of Karthik and so many programs were happening in the evening. And but I see that um, I will hear all the lectures again, but I was just wondering that should I keep on hearing those at some regular intervals, or should I pen down all the points? That's not possible actually. But there were so many enlightening points from your class. Though they may be in this form of discussion, they were not reading the lines, but in the form of question answer, you give all the possible perspectives for an answer. For a question, you give all the perspectives of different areas, different visions or different thoughts, and that's very quite appreciable. And one concluding question in this regard, which I just asked now, in a class of, let's say, 5 members, you are saying the same thing to all. And sometimes when you see that 3 persons are coming up and they are doing everything very enthusiastically, but and that enthusiasm or that eagerness to serve, it's fine, it's everybody can see that, and the rest of the 2 members are also seeing. But the I mean to say, sometimes when we speak that okay, these things should be done, this should be done in this way or like that, so the other 2 persons also sometimes they get discouraged. Okay, this is too much to handle. ISKCON is too much into all these things, these rules, regulations, and preaching part. Many people do not like, or many things they do not like. So how to handle? Because you are giving the same message. Many are taking, few are not. Right? And
So,
that may be
understood.
discouraging for the rest of the members.
So again, Mataji, a couple of thoughts. As a person who is giving the class, it is his or her service to know the audience. So those 2 may not be given, it is, these are not the parameters. Let us say 3 persons took up to Krishna consciousness, 2 did not take. But who knows how they took up? Perhaps those 2 who did not took up were more logical. They wanted more broader and more deeper perspective. And perhaps the preacher or the person who is giving class, they were giving class from a very what the person should do and what the person should not do, right? And those 3 persons, because they did not have any curiosity, it was, I mean saying the content matters the more, and the context is also very important. How are you assessing those 3 are giving and those 2 are not giving? What are their reasons for not giving? What is their what are their questions? What are their objections? What is it that is not resonating? Then as a speaker, it is their service to know the audience well. if you're going out and just speaking, no matter who the audience, let me just speak the message pure. I'll speak the pure message as it is. Whoever has to take and will take. And no, that's laziness. You have to you have to understand the audience. And then what is your seva? Your seva is to make the message relevant to that audience. You have to work around, you have to think what will resonate with them. Yes, we have to speak the truth. Yes, we don't have to compromise the philosophy. Yet, this is the service of the speaker. How to make the message resonate with the audience. And this won't happen till the time we know the audience. Who are the audience? What are their hopes? What are their fears? What are their concerns? What are their troubles in life? Then I have to sit down, I have to prepare which examples, which philosophical points will help them in their life. What are their questions? What are their queries? From which background they are coming. Otherwise, what is the service? It's if the speaker does not prepare for the class and just go and speak as it is, then it's a disservice. So if I have to speak for 1 hour, then minimum 1 hour I prepare what I have to speak. I organize my thoughts. I work on my presentation. I take suitable trainings, how to present it in a manner which is appealing for them. That is devotional service. I make endeavors, I practice how to research about the content that I'm going to speak. How will I deliver? How will I improve my speech? How will I improve my content? How will I improve my body language? What kind of questions they asked? Did I answer them satisfactorily? How could have I answered in a way that was satisfying to them? What were their intent of asking the question? Did I answer the question or did I answer the intent of the question? So as a speaker, it's a full field. It's not that simply because I spent 10 years, 15 years, and I can just go and speak anything. There are nuances and dynamics for every service. It's a very glorious service. I'm Kirtan is there. And yet in that service, let's say if a person is giving a class for 1 hour and there are 200 people in the audience, that means 200 hours are being invested. So if I don't prepare and just give, half of the class just turns away, turns out to be very boring class, very non-connected class, then it's a disservice to Vaishnava. No? It's a disservice to Krishna. So it's very individual. I mean, it does not mean even if like from 4 are taking and 1 is going, even in some cult, what is a cult? So there can be 1 person who actually thinks and there are 4 people who are blindly following. And the one who is actually thinking and he's not accepting. So it also depends what kind of audience we are attracting through our preaching, through our discourses. What kind of questions are we attracting through our discourses? If there are no questions, perhaps my discussion is not stimulating enough. or perhaps they are not interested in the subject matter. It can be anything, but I'm saying one really needs to look into with a proper perspective. These external numbers may not always work out. 1 and 4 and 3 and 2. Perhaps only 1 took to Krishna consciousness and 99 turned away. But that one was so powerful, he brought thousands and millions others. So who is that one? That also matters. 1 moon is better than 1,000 stars. So out of those thousands persons, only 1 could understand. But that one, your discourse was so powerful that one leader became convinced and it brought millions others because he was convinced or she was convinced. So I mean, those parameters are okay, but we need to really look through. Krishna conscious works in a very. We should know what exactly to look into, which context and which parameter. That's the point. There are stories when people are going in book distribution. None of them took book. Only one person took book, but that person became in future the temple president, and he brought thousands others. Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, only one disciple, but what a disciple! So go after quality and go after, both are important, quantity, quality. Okay, yes, last Vrindavan Masi Prabhu, then we'll close.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for sharing all these thoughts. But all depends on person to person. I will try to improve, though I'm trying, but all depends on person to person. But thank you for explaining all perspectives.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, when we were talking about mercy of a devotee and how mercy is very important, it's a descending process, as you said, and we always heard that Bhakti Kripa ka marg hai. So, Prabhuji, when we are talking about here Kripa, that only means pure devotees, senior devotees, or Kripa can also come from a fellow co-devotee or from a person. So how do we, because this question a lot of time comes in my mind, that normally we want to serve a senior devotee, a pure devotee, so we get his mercy. So here the mercy is like when we're expecting it from because if this thing goes in our mind, no, we want mercy from senior devotees, then we will always try to serve the seniors or the advanced souls. And maybe then we are not serving our fellow members or persons who are new. And we heard like relationships are always with three. So to have this mercy which can evoke love in our heart, so theoretically I understand it has to be from a pure devotee, but we also need to serve other also. But how to understand this mercy concept from an overall point of view from serving devotees?
So it is like binoculars. Yes, use binoculars, doorbin. The more lens you put in between, the better is your clarity and vision. The more Vaishnavas are there between you and Krishna, better you'll be able to see Krishna. The less Vaishnavas are there between you and Krishna, the vision will be blurred. So dasa, nudasa, nudasaha. Servant of the servant of the servant. If you're serving a pure devotee, most glorious. But if you're serving the servant of the pure devotee, you will get even more mercy. If you get the servant of the pure devotee, you will get even the more mercy. Servant of the servant of the servant of pure devotee. So, any Vaishnava can give you full perfection. If you please that Vaishnava, it's the Krishna who's pleased. If that Vaishnava is pleased, all mercy of parampara comes. So internally, no need to discriminate. I'll please this Vaishnava and I don't please this Vaishnava. That attitude has to be there. I am the servant and let me do seva. And to the degree you are able to please the devotees who are living with you in your own community, everything will come through that. See, if I'm in my last moment, I'm breathing my last, and there is a new devotee who's standing only 2 rounds, but if he chants Hare Krishna while I am leaving the body, your all perfection is given now. So if he has to give Krishna at the most critical time of the life, even a new person can give. Are you getting?
Yes, Prabhuji.
So all the Vaishnavas are glorious. Of course, if the pure Vaishnavas are there, definitely we won't miss that chance. But I'm saying when pure devotees, then the question is, who's the pure devotee? All of these they are not devotee. I see so many faults in them. He or she has this fault, he or she has that fault. They are not worthy of my service. Anyone who's chanting Hare Krishna, who's falling for regulative principle, who are in the movement, how can I serve them? That's one. And once you serve them, it's not that everyone will be pleased. Then we may have experienced that they will take advantage of you. They will still criticize you. And then the test will come. Then the test of tolerance will come. You're trying to serve, and then instead of becoming pleased and giving you well wishes, you are being criticized. Shivanand Sen, he organized Yatra to Jagannath Puri. He organized all the devotees. He would take, it was not a train journey. Every single night they have to stop, they have to walk. He arranged for all the Vaishnavas from Navdeep. But at one place, there was sudden little delay in arranging room for Nityanand. And he kicked him in his chest. So, person who's trying to serve, what is he getting in return? But how he took even in that circumstances. And what to talk about, these are the dynamics of service. But even when you go out to preach, that's why the verse says titikshva karunikaha. You're doing the karunikaha, you're doing the mercy. Jesus Christ preached. What happened? They crucified Jesus Christ only. But Prabhupada gives example, nature of a saintly person. Despite that, I mean, they are tolerating titikshva. One has to be tolerant. Despite that, they are karunika. They are tolerating, but they are not giving up their merciful nature. They are still spreading Krishna consciousness. So, any Vaishnava.
So, Prabhuji, I think we should change our vision, that understanding that we are servant of servants, we have to serve the Vaishnavas. That will be pleasing to Krishna. But if we get a chance to serve a pure Vaishnava, that is nice, but it should not be like, okay, we are just focused on serving the seniors and leaving. That should not be our...
See, service to pure devotees, that's definitely there. It is the most invaluable treasure. Definitely. That's the most glorious thing. I'm saying one of the ways to serve pure devotees is to serve their devotees. That way you attract their even more mercy.
So probably if my consciousness becomes I have to serve all the devotees, they are servants of Srila Prabhupada, so that will be a much more better consciousness. So
again, this does not mean that we leave the service of Prabhupada or we cannot access directly serve Prabhupada.
Yes.
But I'm just talking about that mentality. I will serve only pure devotee and no one else. For someone, for me to serve someone, I have to be convinced that he or she is pure devotee. Only then my journey of serving other will start. This attitude is problematic. So my orientation of my consciousness is whatever community I'm serving, or whatever in Vaishnava communities, let me serve, whatever opportunity of service I get, let me serve them. Yes. And when we do that, we attract the mercy of Krishna, and then we'll also attract the mercy of service of pure devotee. Service of pure devotee is not just anytime, anywhere available just like that. And what when pure devotee is not there? What to do then? Is it then my spiritual life stops? No, you can still get all the mercy of those pure devotee when we serve whatever relationship we have in our life of Vaishnavas. Otherwise, the consciousness will always be of a person. Like Bhakti Damodar Swami Maharaj once gave Bhagavatam class here. He told a person who is committing Vaishnava Apradh, how his consciousness is transformed. He thinks that no one in this yatra, or no one in this temple, or no one in this community is worthy of my service. Everyone is fallen there, so let me go away. So this is a mentality of a person. Of course, that is in one context, I'm saying that. Now, there can be another context. Someone is on the level of Madhyam, and everyone else is on the level of Kanishta, maybe. And then Madhyam finds it very difficult to relate with Kanishta. That is a separate example. But still, the Madhyam serves other. He shares Krishna consciousness. He shares Name Ruchi Jive Daya Vaishnav Seva. So yeah, Vaishnav Seva is there. So there are categories of Vaishnavas: Uttam Adhikari, Madhyam Adhikari, Kanishta Adhikari. Uttam Adhikari service, undoubtedly unparalleled, very good. But Madhyam and Kanishta also are. So we all have a role: how to deal with seniors, how to deal with equals, and how to deal with juniors. With seniors, we seek their seva. With equals, we try to strive for friendship. With juniors, we need to be more merciful. And Narad Muni says, if you do that, all material pains will be mitigated. Usually with seniors, we want to pull them down. With equals, we are envious. How come he's making or he's going ahead? And with juniors, we tend to exploit them. But if we reverse the process, with juniors, how can I help them in Krishna consciousness? With equals, how can I be friendly with them? And with seniors, how can I serve them? Like that.
So really the broader concept is seeing everybody as a Vaishnava, understanding their relation with Krishna. As you said, we have to see, you gave us an exercise, try to see Paramatma, and then you see Paramatma and the soul, and you have to offer obeisances to all of them. So what was the purpose? Of course, it helps us to see Krishna and we have to relate the philosophy, but what was the very inside purpose that we have to cultivate from that?
So you tell what was your experience if you tried to do that?
Prabhuji, I was theoretically, honestly trying to see, okay, I heard that Paramatma is four-hand form, but I thought, no, we are after Vrindavan Krishna, so I would try to see Krishna deity as a Paramatma in his heart, because he's the source of all sources, and that soul in connection to Krishna. So and then when I was trying to offer offers of my basis to both of them, Lord Krishna as well as that soul in connection to Krishna. Of course, it was not all the time. Maybe one day I did for some more time. Second day it was more or less. So, but maybe we become more conscious of Paramatma rather than just seeing the bodies moving and not the people moving. So that was one thing.
So that is first on this verse 629. A true yogi observes me in all beings and also sees every being in me. Indeed, the self-realized person sees me, the same Supreme Lord, everywhere. And then Prabhupada explains in the purport. So it helps us maintain proper consciousness. I may have personal liking, disliking towards many person. He helps in me in my sense gratification. He's my friend. He does not helps me, or he's an obstruction in my sense gratification. He's my enemy. That is the duality in conditioned state of life. But I am reminded that Paramatma is sitting. Then I rise above my personal liking and disliking. I still respect, although I may not like that person due to my conditioning, but there's an element of respect. I operate, I see, and I deal with them from a very different place of, if I go and deal with the energy of my personal liking and disliking, they're the same vibes are there in relationship. But if I go from a genuine place of respect and I know who they are actually, then the dealings and the relationships become very different.
Okay. Especially the persons whom we take service, I was trying to see in them. So as you told that even the person who was serving you have to try and seeing them. So
anyone, even the dog and the cow and the free. Our vision is completely transformed once we do that. The more we are reminded.
Prabhuji, in saying, can
Thank
I
you.
say something?
Yes, Madhuri.
Prabhuji, for normal people, that practice works for me. But the people whom I don't like, or like who are involved in the office politics or somewhere, like annoying or try to harm you. So, from that people, how can we see?
How can we see? Do you believe that they are not the body, they are the spirit soul?
Yes, Prabhuji, but practically, I mean,
Do you believe Krishna
ऐसे
is
दिखता नहीं है ना? Yes, yes, Prabhuji.
So how
that
can
that bhava changes. वो फिर उनसे वो same.
But does that change the eternal truths? That
Prabhuji.
they are part and parcel of Krishna and Krishna resides in them. Does it change in any way that thing? It
No,
doesn't
Prabhuji.
change. No. If I still say, then I still respect them, although I am at a completely different opinion with them. I don't agree to what they're saying, but still I respect them for who they are. They're part and parcel of Krishna.
And probably for that time, like जब fighting हो रहा है और उस time ठीक है उस time हो गया फिर.
So you may take all the this. We are not telling you to do anything to them. It's just an internal exercise. How you see them,
Yes, Prabhuji.
right? We are not saying अब आपको उनसे जाके दोस्ती करनी है, आपको उनसे जाके ये करना है, ऐसे डील करना है, वैसे करना है. No, but just a simple reminder that Krishna do exist, and he's sitting and he's watching me. how I deal with that person. So I can be honest, I can be firm, I can take stand, but at least I won't disrespect the person. I still respect despite differences. That's a good beginning. Ultimately, see Uttam Adhikari, and Uttam Adhikari see everyone is acting under the order of Krishna, under the will of Krishna. So if that person is acting as my enemy, Krishna has sanctioned it. If Krishna has sanctioned it, and Krishna is my well-wisher, so they accept. That's a vision of
So
Uttam
Prabhuji,
Adhikari.
practically then
Yeah, but
okay.
Prabhupada says no one can imitate Uttam Adhikari. I won't artificially imitate Uttam Adhikari. That's not possible. But I can begin from a certain place. And it is not a śāstrī exercise. It was just given to us for that course, and it worked. It's a spiritual exercise. So there are many kinds of spiritual exercise that are created by devotees. I just give you one. There are many such exercise which helps us maintain our consciousness while we navigate life, our daily life.
So our material dealings can be normal, like
yeah, I mean,
whatever.
I
mean, still devotee, but
we will deal with whatever way we have to deal. It does not mean someone has taken us there. Someone is coming and asking for money and is not returning, and will not ask them for money, or will not be firm, and we'll do all those things. But we'll do from a very different place. And someone is coming, he or she is criticizing me. I may keep distance, I may make boundaries and so on. But internally, I'll still respect that Paramatma is still there in their heart. My vision will be different. Have you tried doing it? Have you tried doing this exercise? Theoretically, this won't work. You have to first try for 1 or 2 weeks to really do that. Only then you'll get that.
Yes, Prabhuji, I tried actually for my husband also, and for my son. He's also chanting. So
no, for it, you don't have to tell anyone.
Yes, do not telling everyone, but
internally,
just like
anyone you meet in life, anyone, you have to just remind that Paramatma is sitting. There's a jiva, and internally pay respects to Krishna in their heart. That's all.
Krishna or that person also, because he's also connected to Krishna.
Sorry?
we have to pay respects to Lord Krishna as Paramatma, and even to that Jiva, because he is related to Krishna.
Why not? Jiva,
Yeah.
Jiva, part and parcel of Krishna. So if you love Krishna, how can you not love Krishna's part? So that part may be manifesting various natures under conditions, but in the eternal reality, that is a pure spirit soul.
Thank you.
We may see that the modes of nature are acting, modes of nature are working in such a way, those conditioning are working, lust, greed, and anger. But ultimately, that spirit soul is pure now. That spirit soul is part of Krishna. Even I can accept the bare minimum, that part. Is it not? I know, very easy to say all these things, very difficult to practice. I agree. But yet they can be very wonderful to practice. It can really anchor our mind, give a lot of peace. And
probably I want to have a circumstance with me, like a person who was supposed to give us some money, he just cheated us, he's not giving us money. So I was thinking, Krishna is in his heart, so therefore he is given him sanction. So maybe it's my karma, therefore I'm not getting that. And of course, when I'm doing as a service to Krishna, Krishna is the boss. I'm a manager. That's Krishna's duty to see that he's not giving or not giving. So, but in the heart, sometimes when somebody does not give, so you have angry things on him, you want to curse him and all, then we again try to intellectually make you understand, no, we don't want to waste the percent giving curses and all. So it was my karma, he's not giving. So, but I have to forgive him also. Otherwise, I will not grow. So theoretically, I understand all these things, but still, again, moment of times, this kind of like he's cheated us and the bad things come, then again you try to suppress them by giving the positive outlooks. So, and I also try to make me understand, no, like Krishna is trying to teach us that in difficult circumstances, how I have to behave. So all these thoughts keep coming. But how can we really forgive a person from heart, even if he's done us harm? From the heart, so it does not reoccur.
I have no answer to that. It's a very pertinent question, very elevated question on forgiveness.
Right, it's more intellectual conviction, but
I hear actually I hear 2-3 perspectives in this. One is how to deal with such scenarios as a devotee. That can be one part of the question. And this may happen even in devotee community also. Even some person in dhoti kurta, 16 round, initiated devotee can come and ask for money and then refuse to pay back. And it can spoil all relationship. And it can even shatter the faith from the whole community. Devotees, aise hote hain kya? So that's one way how to deal with such a situation and how to deal with such scenario. Now, second is if I'm genuinely cheated and there was no fault and somehow situations happen like that, how to move on in life, how to forgive and so on. So for the first thing, I think we should not let our guards down, and we should be smart and we should be expert in all the dealings. We should know when there is a genuine need and what kind of person to whom am I giving loan and so on. Just because someone is in dhoti kurta or someone is wearing kanti, I should not blindly, without discrimination, just give anything and everything. I should do certain checks. I should consult some leaders, and I should. There has to be relationship. There has to be certain faith. I mean, those some certain checks has to be there. That's one. Second part of the question, if let us say if something has generally happened and if there's no control and I want to close that chapter and just forgive and move on. How to do that? There are big seminars on forgiveness. I recommend you hear them if they are really helpful to move on in life. Other things, when we study Shastra, there are many examples of people who manifested this glorious quality of forgiveness, which is said to be the ornament of a Vaishnava. Parikshit Maharaj. How unfair life could be. For his smallest of mistake, he was cursed to die. And yet how he responded, how he could forgive. He could have retaliated in a very bigger way, but he did not do that. Nityanand Prabhu was hit by Jagai and Madai, and he gave them the highest blessing of love of Krishna to them. He saved them from Mahaprabhu, Madai, and then there was transformation. That even then Durvasa Muni and Amrish Maharaj. Durvasa Muni, how unfair it was. There was no fault of Durvasa Muni or Amrish Maharaj. He was confused whether to open the fast or not, he's coming or not. He just took little water and he created a demon to kill Amrish Maharaj. And yet, when Durvasa Muni came, he did not retaliate. Out of his grace, he begged for forgiveness and they both took prasad together. So there are many examples in Shastras. We study those examples. We understand their context. We take inspiration from them. That's one. And for a specific case scenario, I think it's always helpful to discuss with mentor, to discuss with devotees who know the nitty-gritty of details, who are experienced on those matters,
Because Prabhuji, I've seen that if we don't forgive, it is affecting our sadhana, it is affecting our consciousness. So
yeah,
so
it's easy to move on in life. Yeah, sorry, it's essential how to deal with such situation. So one thing is we take practical action, whatever is possible in our capacity, we take those action. And once we are taking those action, then simultaneously how to see, how to be detached and see the will of Krishna in that. And of course, it also depends again on the context. You'll see the Prabhupada, when there was a case of Bombay property land dispute, right? And Mr. Nayyar was Mr. N. Lilamrit says, he cheated Prabhupada, he cheated devotees. So Prabhupada did not say, okay, just let us forgive and let us move on, let us do and let all the money go. He fought back. And it happened even before in New York also. Goldsmith, you remember that devotees gave entire money to this property dealer who was cheating, who cheated to devotees. And those days already there was so less money. With great effort they accumulated. And then when Prabhupada came and then he fought with that property dealer who was cheating devotees. And he recovered all the amount from them because he saw it was Krishna's money. And that person also, they had vision. If someone is cheating Krishna's money, they will go to hell. So, out of compassion also, and out of not allow anyone to just cheat us like that. So it depends from case to case, whether we want to fight and recover the money and use it for Lord's service, or we just want to give up and let it go. And that can be a tough choice to make. And that's an individual decision to make. One time, in one scenario, it may mean surrender means to actually fight. Some scenarios, it means to just let go. How do we decide that? It's not very easy. We have to see, we have to work on this. Right. So thank you, Hare Krishna.